Good morning. Another beautiful day. So I hope everyone's Memorial Day was good. It was a beautiful day out, at least most of the day. Did get a little spot of rain. I spent most of my day down here actually working, which was nice. Oh boy. Mostly got that crick out of my neck from yesterday. So I've been spending my time working on masks and learning how to use a sewing machine. $41. Episode 41. That's crazy, isn't it? I don't know how we've gotten to this point. 41 episodes. But, you know, here we are. Share public. Share to page. So I know it's not a giveaway or build video day, but I hope you forgive me for working on some of these masks. I have a couple orders here that I'm trying to fill. I'm not going to be running the sewing machine. There's a few things I need to do with hand sewing first. Mainly stitching in the nose, you know, the bridge of the nose. You want to get that tacked down and hand sewed in first before you run the machine. And I'm also going to embroider my my logo on the side. So just, you know, $30. You want something that has a little branding in it, I guess, right? I still didn't get the... Let me pop out the chat here so we can start doing this little doobly-doo. I spent most of this morning doing that as well. Just because, well, not most of this morning, I guess some of this morning. I've been up since 5:30. I actually have good news. Kids slept all night. Put him down. We tried putting him down at 7, didn't go down. So we put him down at like 8:30-ish, 9 o'clock. And, you know, he stayed down pretty much all night. We woke up to feed around midnight when we went to bed. And stayed asleep till 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. So it was nice. I almost slept like a real human for a change. So, like I said, I'm going to be doing a little bit of hand stitching here just so I can get these all these guys prepped. So what I did yesterday is I went through 2 more iterations before I landed on the final mask. Which one is it? That's Mark 1. That's Mark. All right, so Mark 2 had these pleats, so it could go around your nose. And this way, the actual shape of it, since it remained tight, there, it actually naturally wanted to shape itself around your nose, so you didn't have to have a wire. That was a pain in the butt, though, getting those pleats to cooperate. And I'm not exactly a seamstress. So, yeah, I had to back away from that. My face is all blown out. That's the thing. I love these LEDs, but they're just a wee bit too bright. Or bright, intense. I don't know, but it ends up blowing my face up. So that was too much. So the one I settled on, that's Mark 1, works, but it's not great. So the one I settled on is this guy. Has a wire sewn into the bridge here. Has a band, or has a what is this? Ribbing, edging, something. Sewn around the sides, around the top, and the neck. I didn't do it around the ears because ears are fine. And then there's a pocket on the inside. So there's 2 layers of fabric there naturally. And then you could, put more if you really want to, but I don't think it's needed. And instead of trying to make some bias tape out of the fabric, I just got this thin ribbon. So I have a bunch of thin ribbon, and I have a bunch of like cordage. Where is it? So I'm going to try some with a thin ribbon and some with a cordage. See what I like better. This stuff is going to be kind of hard to sew, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. But it's kind of like shoelaces, which was going to be my original idea. So I don't know. I think it's a good idea. Get a couple orders out, get a couple made for myself, make a few bucks, pay for the sewing machine. At least pay for the sewing machine. So let's see. There's a few people lining up in here. Let's see. I'm getting this weird glitch in my live streaming where it's not showing me. Normally it shows, or at least it used to show concurrent viewers on my screen. You can't see it, but concurrent viewers and likes in real time. Actually, would I be able to show you? I could, but it doesn't matter. So it's kind of strange as it's not allowing all that stuff anymore, but whatever. So I just go over to my regular watch page and keep refreshing it. It tells me how many people are watching. So it works. Yeah. So I got a nice hot cup of coffee. Hope you do too. Enjoying the morning. I have a lot of phone calls to make today. One of them is to the landlord. Hopefully they're going to be done by this week. Hopefully. We'll see though. We shall see. 1 million messages. Whatever. So, looks like there's a couple people in chat, or one person in chat. Let's go over there and get this party started. Joe, good morning, Joe. How are we doing today? How was grilling? Did it turn out well for you, or did you get rained on a wee bit? I know we didn't end up grilling until later in the evening, so it wasn't a problem for us. But we had hot dogs, hamburgers, some some hybrid of a macaroni salad and a tuna salad. So it was a pretty good meal, actually. And I'm planning on going upstairs and taking a nap after the stream. Just to, just to catch up on that last little bit of sleep before making all these phone calls and getting angry with people. It's always better to start doing these things with a little extra sleep and a full belly. Turned out great. Fantastic. Looks like they're going to be repointing the chimney today. The father-in-law and the neighbor are going to be repointing the chimney, so that's going to be a little loud as well. So we'll see how that goes with getting some sleep. But let me start tacking these guys on. And all I'm using to tack them on is I'm using those like bread twist ties. Everyone has like a million of them, and no one ever has anything to do with them, so I'm using those. And I mean, that's really all you need. And they're formable. So what I'm doing with mine, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm putting a little loop on either end. That way I can sew within that loop, and I'll keep it from shifting around. Of course, I'm going to, do a little whip stitch across the whole top of it, but you do that first. And that way, once it's sewn in, it won't want to wander. It still can, but it doesn't want to, which is more the point than anything else. And get it mostly centered, and let's start from there. Should I do that a little twist? Will that make it a little bit easier? Yeah, that makes it a little bit easier. It's funny relearning how to use a sewing machine and everything. I think I mostly got it now, but I haven't really touched one since middle school. Everything I've had to do thus far is only I've been able to accomplish with just hand sewing. Even in high school, I still did, I still stitched things together, but it's all hand sewing and stuff. Okay. A lot of times when I'm coming up with new ideas that require me getting a new piece of machinery, I have to factor in the cost of the tool. So whenever I'm doing something like starting masks and stuff, I have to look at the prices of the tools required. Now, this is pretty simple. It's just one tool because I had everything else. I already had the rotary cutter. I mean, I bought fabric shears, but I wanted those anyways. And if my wife touches my fabric shears, ooh, buddy. There's a couple pair of scissors she's not allowed to touch. I have my metal snips, which they're just slightly heavy duty, regular scissors, but they're specifically for cutting thin metal, like brass and aluminum stuff. For like embossing forming. So she's not allowed to touch those, and she's not allowed to touch these guys here. Now they're Fiskars, but man, are they nice. Got that little, I paid the extra $3 for the comfy handle. But the nice thing about them, other than super sharp, is they got that weird angle. So it's nice that you can like run that right along your cutting mat. It doesn't rip the hell out of the fabric and lift it and move it all around and buffet it like a normal pair of scissors would. I try to do most of my cutting with I have a rotary cutter. Again, it's a Fisker, which is pretty nice. It's not the best, but I think what I need to do is go around and strop the blade a little bit, because I notice there's one part that's always just a wee bit duller than the rest of it. So I try to do most of my cutting with this, just because it's really easy. I can just, I use it kind of like, not a pizza cutter, but I use it like that. Whereas you're supposed to kind of use it like this, but I like getting that extra pressure, and I feel like I have more control, point control when I'm holding it downwards like that. It's actually a really nice little cutter. There's a few things that I have fascinations with, and one of them is a good pair of scissors. Because very often that could mean that's the difference between having a good day and a really shitty day cutting things. And cutting things into small pieces is always the first step of making. Don't let anyone tell you differently. All right, I know it's not the first step, but it is a very important step. Come on, there we go. Let's get this tied off. We can switch to the next side. One knot. I know I could probably get away with just doing one knot on these, because I'm going to be coming back and hitting it again with when I put on the edge banding. But you know what? Someone's paying $30 for it. I can do an extra knot without complaining too much. I think so, at least. We watched Moana this morning. I love that movie. See, there we go. Tacked right in place, just on that little nose piece. Nothing hard, nothing super complex, but this way, it's not going to go anywhere. Where's the next piece? Now, what I really should do is patent this design, because no one is making something specifically for guys with beards. I don't know why. It is a huge market. There we go. I always use way more thread than I need to. Because thread is cheap, and like I said, there's nothing more frustrating than trying to use dull scissors or the wrong scissors or the wrong cutter. There might not be much worse than that, because that's also dangerous. But a huge pet peeve of mine, and I've done this plenty of times to know that'll make me rage quit, is try to tie an itty little bitty knot, because like an idiot I try to use just the right amount of string or just the right amount of thread or whatever, and at the end of it I have these just two little nubs that I'm trying to tie off. Yeah, forget that. It's worth the extra 4 cents or whatever it works out to be to avoid that frustration, you know? Yeah. Yeah, that's annoying when that happens. It really is though. Like it's one of those things that just. And I've quit a few projects just because I just couldn't do it, guys. Not because I couldn't do it, because I didn't want to do it. Is more what I'm getting at there. Total rage quit. And I understand that most of my demographic won't understand that, and that's okay. And quite honestly, I hope you never do understand that, because it is just infuriating. You know, it's not like I don't have enough either. I happen to be very, very waste adverse when it comes to making and building things. And usually that's a good thing, but sometimes I get in my own I get in my own way. Come on, get over the knot. I very often turn into my own worst enemy when I'm building things. It's either, oh, I could do it cheaper, I could do it faster, I could do it this, I could do it that. Or, and this is worse, I could do it better. And you don't need to strive for perfection, you need to strive for utility first. And I get it. I really get that. However, I'm also a little bit of a perfectionist. So, you know, I've had projects where I chase perfection, and not only do I not make money, but I lose money. And that's an issue. Especially when it's on stupid shit that no one would notice anyways, you know? So I really am my own worst enemy when it comes to a lot of things. Let's see, wasting 1/10 of an inch of string doesn't count. Yeah, but what if it comes down to the end of the spool and I need that last 1/10 of an inch? That's where my brain goes. I also hoard scraps like a psycho. Oh, this is a really pretty piece of scrap wood. Dude, it's the size of an eraser. Yeah, but it's beautiful. I could use that for something. So I have that problem. But I've had that problem for a long time. Little scraps of metal from blacksmithing. I have a whole pail full of scraps of metal the size of quarters and smaller. Like, what am I gonna do with that? Or it's this large jagged piece with all these chunks cut out of it. Like, I'm never gonna use that. It just takes up space. It's gonna get rusty. I'm gonna end up giving myself tetanus. I know that's not how you actually get tetanus, but I'm gonna end up giving myself tetanus. Have to get a shot. Get my hand all cut up for what? Not wasting, a little piece of nothing. Been that way my entire life, though. Oh, sounds like my kid's awake. And he's not screaming yet. Which that's always good news. The whole not screaming thing, love it. But Joe, you see all that waste? That's like 16 inches of waste. All right, that's those two done. I'm cutting these two at a time just because it's easy, because the pattern, like here's the insert pattern, it's only half. So what I have to do is fold the fabric over. So what I'm doing is I'm folding the fabric over and then folding, a long piece of it, folding it in half, and then folding that whole thing in half, perpendicular to that first fold. Now I'm able to cut out two at a time. And then it's a lot easier just to sit down and make, to do the thing two at a time than it is to, try and, futz with it, trying to do this, trying to do that. It's easier just to do two at a time. So you cut them two at a time. You do two sets of strings, two sets of faces, two sets of, gussets. It's easier just doing one setup and running a couple. It's called smart. I was watching Bill Burr this morning, and his Monday morning podcast. I know it's not Monday morning. This is closer to Monday than he usually gets, though, so give him credit for that much. He says it's so hard to fill up an hour of content when you're doing it by yourself. No, not really. I mean, yeah, I have you guys to help me along, but I've sat here when there was no one in the chat room, just babbling on for an hour and a half. It's really not that hard. So I just thought that was funny. He was yelling at people for being stupid and going to the beaches and stuff. Like, yeah, And when there's no one in the chat room, I can either just babble on, or I can go check the news or see what's in my YouTube recommended, and I talk about a few of those things. Easy way to make content. Here's a whole hour to fill. Oh, geez. Let's see. Kevin Hart is on Joe Rogan. Good. Oh, there's 3 people watching. Nice. Negotiating as if your life depends on it. How to apply FBI tactics in sales. That's another interview with Chris Voss. Guys, if you haven't seen this guy, go check him out. Open Eye Wakes and Body Farms from Ask a Mortician. Should you buy a CNC from Chris Salmon over at Four Eyes? See, I think I need a CNC, but I also think I need a CNC, a 3D printer, and a Glowforge. If I can only have 2 out of those 3, it would be a CNC and a Glowforge. Townsend's has imitation coffee from the 17th and 18th centuries. Makes sense. Coffee must have been pretty expensive. I mean, cheap, but expensive. That makes sense. Oh, that's interesting. All right, making the 500,000 subs leather patch giveaway. Fascinating. And this is Torbjorn Amen. I'm going to be saving that to watch later because it looks like he has three different dyes. And these look like they're like sew-on patches, so they're probably about that big. But the first one, it's just a ring with a cutter head. It's probably ruler steel, which ruler steel is actually the stuff you make dyes out of. You can buy it, and it's sharpened either. There's 2 primary grinds on it. There's center bevel and then side bevel. So you can get a straight cut on one side, or you can split the difference with the center bevel. Center bevel probably lasts longer, but is harder to maintain. Side bevel, you need to sharpen it more often, but it's easier to sharpen because you're just sharpening one facet all the way around. You're not trying to, split that difference and make sure it's. I can talk about, bevels on knives and cutting surfaces for hours. So it looks like he has one of those, and then he has one that's there are 3 different concentric rings, basically. The next size down looks like it's ruler steel, same die, same, similar to the die above it, but he took a file and filed it in a bunch of places. So there's a bunch of teeth coming down. So he probably hits, I haven't seen the video yet, 25-minute video, but it looks like he stamps it, leaves the leather in the stamp, puts the next die in, hits that, and that gives him all the punch holes. And then the third one is, it's not really a ring, but it's a plug with his maker mark on it. Maker's mark, and it's like a the TA, the Torbjorn Amen. Then it has like a grizzly bear or something, and like a lightning bolt. And that looks like it fits in. So he probably takes out the tooth ring, and then he puts the plug in and presses that. It looks like. I'm thinking. Because that way he keeps everything lined up, and it's just a pop and play process then. And there's no secondary, tertiary jigs to worry about if they all nest inside of each other. If that's not how he did it, that's how he should have done it. Because that would be a very intelligent way of making sure everything nests and everything's always perfect and consistent. Okay, so there's this thing from Peter Brown, copper bladder cherries, dip at number 27. So the copper bladder cherry, or the bladder cherry, is it's a Japanese thing, and a lot of people call them Chinese lanterns. You know, it's kind of the bladder for something that floats. But when it decays, it leaves back behind this little skeletal lattice work. Very pretty thing. But it is super fragile. It has to be just strong enough but still light enough to keep the thing floating. Pardon me. So what he does here is he electroplates it. And the process of that is you take this magnetic paint and you paint it on whatever surface. It's different from regular standard electroplating. The way to electroplate organic material is you take this magnetic paint, it's kind of like a blackish type thing, and you paint it across the whole surface. You need that. And then you take it and you put it into an electrolysis machine. And there's copper wires and stuff, and you run current through it. And what that does is it electroplates the copper onto the magnetic paint, which is adhered to the organic material. It's only like 1 or 2 microns thick, so it's thin, but it's actually coating it in metal, which makes it super durable compared to what it was. And then once you get the copper base, you can go nickel and then chromium, or nickel and then most anything else. Sometimes you can go straight from copper to whatever other material you want. I think you can do copper to gold. I think you need to do silver. I think you need to do copper, nickel, then silver, I think. Pretty sure you can just go copper to gold, though. And I know for chrome, it needs to be copper, nickel, then chrome. But you can actually like make those things chrome, and then or whatever, and then they'd be really, really durable. Make little earrings or pendants or whatever out of them. I actually watched this a few weeks ago. 6 days ago. Super cool process. Really go check it out when we're done here. Let's see. He's done that on a few things, which is really cool. This time he kind of like thinned out the magnetic paint, so he could airbrush it in there to get all the little things, because you're only got to plate what's covered with that first magnetic paint. So, but I think he did like twigs and stuff once, and a couple of leaves. So, very interesting process. It's not something I don't think I could scale up to make anything useful out of, but I don't know. Might be something fun to play with, just to play with it, you know. And Joe. Oh, this must be going back to the Bill Burr thing. Yeah, I mean, it's not hard if you have topics. I really don't have many topics. I just kind of bullshit. You know, what I did last night, what am I doing today? How are you guys doing? What's in the news? What's on YouTube? And sometimes I have stuff to go off of. Like the other day I went off on video game fanboys. Fans. That still irks me. But that'll be a bee in my bonnet for the rest of my life. Ooh, he's screaming upstairs. Not a happy baby. Oh well. 20 more minutes and I'll have to be up there dealing with him as well. Bum, 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 bum. Do you guys think I should do a leather mask? There's a lot of people on here doing leather masks. I'm seeing. I don't know if I should. I mean, no one's done one for someone with a beard. It's always that little chin style. So I could throw my own spin on it, and I think, I don't know. Ooh, look at this. Cthulhu mask and pattern. Cthulhu mask pattern and video tutorial available soon. You know what? I am going to save that to watch later anyways, even though it's only a minute long. He's just showing off his mask. Guys, if you like leather work and you like someone who busts your balls, go over check out Diesel Punk. Really crafted guy. And if you know almost nothing about leather, watch his videos. He's not going to teach you anything really about leather. He just goes through the projects he does. But he offers, so they're basically just tutorial videos on how to use his patterns. But he tells you what weight and temper of leather you want. And the patterns he makes are stupid simple to follow. And then he walks through the entire process with you. So if you want to make something out of leather for yourself, but you don't have any skills or anything, go check him out. He's definitely a good one to watch. All right. Oh, that's pretty much that. Everything else is just kind of themes. Rise and Fell of the Bombshell Bandit. I don't care. Mystified and captivated the U.S. She was a woman. She was short. She captivated the U.S. and she was such a bombshell. Why have I never heard of her? How to Stop Being a Perfectionist. That kind of hits home. Because I was just talking about, yeah. Henry Johnson, the one-man army who fought off dozens of German soldiers during World War II. Forget Earth-like. This is noddle.us. We'll first find aliens on eyeball planets. What are eyeball planets? What are eyeball planets? They may not look like much, but there's a thin ring of life on these unique planets. Imagine how a planet you're probably... like giant eyeballs who get for fix on their host stars. Okay, so I guess what they're saying. Okay, so here's what an eyeball planet is: a planet that is tidally locked to a star. As a planet orbits the star along the dotted line, its orbital path, the same side of the planet always faces towards the star. So like the moon, if this is the Earth, it rotates around its axis. At the same time, it orbits the Earth. That's why the same face of the moon is always facing the Earth. It orbits at the same time, at the same speed as it rotates, or the same ratio as it rotates. So I guess that's tidally locked. No, they're working on the chimney. So what that means then, if this is a planet and this is a sun, my microphone, this would be, baked off basically by all the, radiation. This would be frozen because of lack of radiation. And there would be this thin band here, somewhere between one side and the other, that's habitable. Interesting. I guess that means these eyeball planets are more common than planets that have a rotating. Or maybe that it could be closer to the star, thus increasing the habitable zone further inwards and outwards. Because I guess if it's closer, then the ring would be, moved back further from the vertical axis, and if it's further away, it'd be closer to that vertical axis. Interesting. And then supposedly, I guess that could greatly extend or amplify the amount of planets we could look at. And this is pretty much what they're... This is pretty much exactly what they're saying too. It's not... Interesting. I would check this... if you're into space, if you're into the possibility of aliens and everything else, even if it's just a thought exercise and you don't believe that they're there, this is still a very cool article for you. It's on Pocket. You should be able to just pocket-worthy Nautilus Earth-like eyeball planets. And I think if you Google that, you'll be able to find the story. Very interesting. What type of mass do I mean? The standard mask that everyone's doing. A lot of people are making leather ones. Sometimes they come back to here. It's just kind of a solid piece that kind of wraps around here, and there's like one seam here, or there's a seam that goes like that, and then it kind of comes underneath the chin. Everyone's making a standard mask like that. If I make one kind of like the style I'm making here, but out of leather, that could be interesting. Maybe I could do, if I do like an angular thing at the bottom, I could actually get it to look, flat here and then faceted on the sides, which would be kind of cool, I think. I think that might be an interesting look. Do I have enough leather for that? I think I have enough leather. I wouldn't want to make it super heavy, so I don't know if I'd want to use the thick leather. I don't know. Different things to check out. Different things to try. Still have no idea what I'm doing for this coming Saturday. Hopefully it's the last Saturday that we will be here. A lot of these are just really awful clickbait titles and stuff, Vox.com. It shows you a crappy site, but this is an interesting article. Is this the end of productivity? Amid the pandemic, workers whose... Let me just click on it. Workers whose job once defined their lives are questioning what it was all for. So that's a really crappy title. Is this the end of productivity? No. It's of course it's not the end of productivity. People are still going to be productive. You still need a way to generate income and give your life meaning. Now, I think it's going to change how a lot of people view how they work and where they work, but it's not going to change their productivity. I mean, look at me, I'm still super productive. I need to run this, but I think this whole pandemic and virus thing is going to open up not only where people work from, home, office, on the road, whatever, but also when people work. Yeah, this is just going into a bunch of blather. Not everyone's a morning person. Not everyone's a late night person. But if you have a little discipline, you can still keep yourself on a good generic schedule. Like me, I'm not really that much of a morning person. I'm up in the mornings because I have to be. Before Connor, it was job. I'm much more of a late night person. I prefer sleeping till 8:30, 9 o'clock. And just, getting up around then and then going out and doing my thing. And staying up late. Honestly, when I was only working for myself 2 years ago now, just on Nightsmith, I would stay awake till 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then sleep till noon, get up for 1 or 2 hours, and then go take another hour and a half nap, and then be up from there the rest of the day and all night. And I found I was much more productive that way. I had much less distractions. And there's something nice about, sitting down at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, fully awake, and just working. And just, you really get into that zone and really, it's nice. And then at the end of the day for me, go outside, maybe I'd have a coffee, maybe I'd have a beer, sit on the front porch, pull out my pipe, and just watch the world come alive. People walking their dogs and stuff, the sun coming up, school buses, the whole 9 yards, people leaving for work. It was nice. And one good stretch, go in and sleep. That worked very nice for me too, because the wife was on night shift. I really think that's like my ideal schedule. I'm not going to be able to get back to that schedule for several years, because kids. But I can dream. Even if I do end up going completely independent, I'm still going to have to worry about the kids, their schedules, going to school, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, that was a good time. That was a good middle ground for me. To be perfectly honest, I don't like sleeping. I'd rather just be up 24/7. But that ability to choose my own sleep schedule was, it was gorgeous. I loved it. It was so nice. Oh, so if this just came back to to my brain here. If you guys want to binge all of these Coffee with Nights, I actually put together a a whole playlist just for the Coffee with Nights. Actually, after this show here ends, excuse me, I'm going to add these last couple to the playlist as well. I don't know if people would consider this binge-worthy content or not, but there's what, like 60 hours, 70 hours worth of Coffee with Nights. Wow, that's actually a lot of content. 60, 70 hours. Because if there's 41 episodes, that's 41 hours right there. Because each one's about an hour. But then there's also the Saturday shows, which are between 2 and 4 hours. So, yeah. It's like 60, 70 hours worth of content. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. I cannot wait to talk to my landlord today. Because I really, really, really want to get back to the apartment. Not that we're having a hard time here or a terribly hard time at my parents' house. It's just, I miss my own bed, guys. I really do. And that's what it comes down to. I miss my bed. Right now, for the last 2 weeks or whatever, been sleeping on an air mattress. It's a good air mattress. It's a really high quality air mattress, but it's an air mattress at the end of the day. Plus, it's nice just to have your own place, have things set up the way you want. I might have to take this setup here with me. No, this is trash. But I need to find some way to do this or something like this. At the house, because this really is nice to work on, like there is no real shadow. I mean, you can kind of get like yeah, it's a shadow, but not really, especially when you're like working with tools or stuff. Like my whole hand casts almost no shadow, so I need to figure some way to make this practical and viable in the apartment. And then my office and workstation is actually in the nursery. A couple of reasons for that. Mostly so that I could, if Connor's just playing around or whatever, I'd be able to still sit there and work and, take care of him. Also, it's only a 2-bedroom apartment, so it's not really that big. So I need to put space where I can find it and use it. So I need to figure out something that I could do, some sort of light shroud type thing. maybe if I get some C channel, not quite C channel, but because C channel is like a staple, basically extruded, but instead of like that, a couple different sizes that nest inside of each other, that have that lip that curls in on itself, but get that curved in a certain way. Maybe I could get a couple of those, so I could pull it out into a big arc and have a way that it clicks into place and have these lights, you know, fashioned into them, and at those points where it clicks, because these are just strip LEDs, maybe I could solder some hard points onto the connections and have like wire leads, so sticking out, so when it clicks in, it clicks to the next one and it makes a connection. If that makes sense, because the way the LEDs work, it's a continuous circuit, or it's a reciprocal circuit until those points where it either continues on or cycles back. So if it's all the way shut, that system I'm thinking of, only this section would be lit. But when I click to the next one, the next section would light up. When it's turned on, of course. I think I'm making it too complicated. But that is a cool concept. I think it's a cool concept. See? How hard is that to get an hour? More than an hour, actually. Not much more, but a little bit more. So, suck it, Bill Burr. Yeah, hopefully he sees this because I'm bitching about him, and goes on a little rant on one of his Monday morning podcasts. Because I tell you what, I could use that kind of exposure. I tell you what, the Utes. All right, guys, now I'm just getting silly. So, you know, that's Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. We're going to cut off here. So thank you for helping make the world better, one kerf at a time, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Hopefully I have something more unique to talk about, not just being a blithering, blathering idiot. See you later, guys.